I wanted to introduce you to this video. If you are a business owner, a marketer, currently trying to grow your brand using social media, this video is going to kind of help you because I'm going to kind of dive into how you can use social media to grow your brand. Why I'm doing this video now here in 2020 is because social media is always changing. If you were to watch something about social media a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's completely different per platform. So what I mean by that is I always like to look at Facebook, for example. A little story, a little backstory. Back in the day, what a lot of marketers could do was literally create a new page, post some stuff, and they would reach all of their followers. So pages were able to grow up to 10,000, 100,000, even up to almost millions of people who follow like that page and actually grow their brand. But if you try to do that nowadays, it's going to take you a lot longer, especially if you're just doing it organic posting. And what I mean by organic posting, that's when you're just posting something on your page, ask people to share it, like it. While these are still important to do, if you try and do that on Facebook, for example, nowadays, you're going to have a very difficult time really reaching your audience, really growing that brand. And I think if you've tried to do that already, you've probably already noticed that. So what I want to kind of dive into here is, how the advent of social media has really allowed businesses to grow, and how it's almost essential nowadays, no matter your business, to kind of have some kind of presence on social media. And I know a lot of us are well aware of, Facebook. We're all probably watching this either on Facebook, maybe you're seeing this on YouTube or somewhere else. For a fact that content is important for businesses. If I didn't put a video like this out here, there could be a lot of people who I would never even be known. Now, there's different ways to kind of get your message out there, but I want to talk about how you can do it nowadays. So let's take a newer social media, for example. I know probably a lot of us watching this aren't using it to grow our brands, but like TikTok, for example. TikTok in the last few years is very brand new. A lot of young kids would use it, and people always kind of had that stigma of like, oh, it's just for kids. And as we look at it now, today, here in January 2020, it's actually kind of grown a lot. And the reason why TikTok early on, it was so easy to get a lot of people is because obviously there was the people watching. There's people there, watching the content, producing content. It wouldn't be surprising to see that you make a video and potentially have 500,000 followers. Now, that had to have been probably a pretty funny video or something if it was on TikTok, but it kind of goes to show that when social medias are early on, going back to the Facebook example, it's very easy to kind of grow organically by just producing quality content. Of course, nowadays you can cross your fingers and hope something goes viral, but it's very difficult to just grow your brand. It's not like you don't want to basically play the lottery, so to speak, trying to grow your social media. So why has that changed? And, we'll take Facebook, for example, again. We've got Facebook here. So they're a business, right? Like any business, the way to stay alive really is to produce revenue of some sort. Facebook is 100% free to sign up. It doesn't cost anyone to make a profile, create 100 profiles, to create even a business page. Like all of that is completely free, and they like to do that for their users. But how does Facebook make money? How are they going to make money? It's really with the advertising, the ads that they're, having people watch, that are trying to get them revenue, because a lot of people are advertising on social media. A lot of people are advertising on Google. And, we could go into a whole different thing on where you want to advertise, where you want to put your time, your effort, your dollars towards to actually produce, the best possible return on your investment. But when we're talking about growing social media, like really growing your brand, there's a few different ways that I like to position, social advertising. So like we'll take, for example, ads on Facebook. Of course, Instagram is their sister company. So you can kind of advertise on both these platforms through Facebook's ad manager, business manager, all that. So why ads? Ads because that's your pay to play money. If you were to right now post something on your Facebook page organically, just like I'm probably about to do with this video, I have a very low chance that I'm gonna reach most, if not all of my, pretty much impossible to reach all of my followers currently. I might reach like 1, 2, 3%. If you were to put a text post, very, very, very low, very low. A photo, a little bit higher than that, and then a video a little bit higher than that. Of course, like live videos has an area you can kind of showcase to your visitors, or, they have Facebook, Instagram stories now. So those are really huge too, because they can be at the top. It doesn't necessarily have to be ranked on that news feed. So the reason Facebook started lowering the rank of your posts and you can't post a bunch of stuff and get 100,000, million followers now as easily as you used to is because Facebook lowered the rank of that post itself. So it's very unlikely that you'll see any business nowadays, especially starting fresh, really growing a following via posting organically. They're gonna do some kind of paid advertising, I can almost guarantee it, or they're doing a lot of groundwork or outside social advertising, such as they're growing their brand somewhere else, and then it just so happens that people have really found a lot within this brand, so they started to like them on Facebook, for example. Again, we're gonna really dive into this one because I feel like when it comes to all the social medias, there's Snapchat, TikTok, all these new social medias. Facebook has kind of been the one that everyone knows, everyone's kind of understood. Most people at least have a Facebook profile. I like to see Facebook as, it's like the website of social media. Like that's your page, that's like your go-to, there's so many different options, but when I really think about it, that's why I like to dive into Facebook. It's also where I do a lot of the advertising for my clients because that's where most people are. If you're looking for demographics of, 18 to, 90, 100 years old, they're probably on Facebook nowadays. It's surprising that a lot of even older demographics are actually on social media, usually Facebook. There's some that are starting to go to Instagram, etc. But even young kids nowadays are basically saying, Facebook's for old people, which, I guess it makes us all feel pretty good when they say that. But even then, later on, a lot of them end up creating a Facebook page just because it just feels right, because it's kind of like that template area. But a lot of people aren't using it as much when it comes to like young kids growing up. So, diving into, social media with your goals, something with Facebook that I found very interesting. There was a study, guy at Facebook, high up ranking person in Facebook. Basically, they did a study and they found that the average Facebook user, so not the person who's on there all day long, we know that even I'm guilty of it sometimes, always on social media, just seeing what everyone's doing or posting on there, whatever. The average user scrolls the height of the Statue of Liberty every single day on their social profiles. So when I hear something like that, I'm thinking to myself, that's a lot of time every day dedicated just to being on, obviously, one social platform. It doesn't mean they're on Instagram, a big part of that, or on Snapchat, or browsing a website, or reading a blog. There's different areas, of course, Google Ads, where you can put stuff in other areas of the digital world, so to speak. But there's no doubt that people are using their smartphones, the internet, social media more and more, and not just in the United States, across the world. This is being used a lot. So, kind of going along with that, when you're trying to build your social media presence, like I said, it's very difficult on these platforms that have kind of been overburdened with people using them. In addition to them changing their business model around making revenue. Just like any other business, you want to make revenue. they found that advertising is a huge, if not the large majority of what they do. So when you're looking at Facebook ads, there's a lot of different campaign objectives. There's different things you can try and do. A lot of times what the large majority of anyone who's doing social advertising, for example, is what I call like direct response. So direct response, that's where basically kind of in my last video where I said, look, you have an ad with an offer that goes to a landing page like your website or some page where you want them to take that next action. So that follows with the offer. This could be, hey, come book a call with me. We'll talk about your current state of affairs with, your business, or come get that free teeth cleaning that we can do for you here, and then they get there. Hey, give us your name, your number, your email, and we will, go ahead and, basically get you that teeth cleaning and then try and, make you a lifetime customer. That's what I would say probably at least 90%, and maybe this is just, an inflated number, but basically a large amount of people who are doing this advertising are doing direct response. A lot of people are doing direct response because it is the type of advertising that produces the most immediate return on investment. So a lot of people will be pushing, hey, I got this. I want to get more customers. I want to reach those relevant customers by pushing them from my ad with that offer to my page, to, whatever I'm trying to accomplish. I am trying to get one action, right? One action, maybe multiple, maybe this goes to another page and another page and another page, where you're trying to get them on a sequence of actions. But the bottom line is direct response is that ad to the offer, to whatever that ends up being. So that's like I said, 90%, that's where most marketers are doing that because it's making the most money. But if you're looking to grow your social media brand, you're trying to grow your brand and get known, there's other things that a lot of people aren't doing, which is actually starting to, I think, increase in popularity, or at least in necessity, because this space is not getting overwhelmed, but a lot of people are doing it. Not that it's not still producing return on investment, but that there's other options, especially when you want to grow your brand. So a lot of times I think about like someone that I love to, look at what they're doing. I love his books, etc. Grant Cardone, super fan of Grant Cardone. And he said years ago, he was spending about $7,500 a month just on advertising, on branding, advertising, just I think within the social space. Don't quote me on that, but it was something along the lines where it wasn't that much money. And if you look years ago, a lot of people didn't really know him on that level. Like a lot of people knew him, but on a global scale, he wasn't really known as what he does within the sale. Maybe he was known more in the sales and marketing space, but he wasn't really known on a much further reach, where now he's doing growth conferences with, Rick Ross, big influencers in the business industry, but even like celebrities now. Like I said, Rick Ross, I can't remember who's the other, the comedian. Basically, he's got a big, Kevin Hart. He's got a big following, and he's gotten to the point where he's known now on a huge, what he would say 10x scale, if not even further than that scale. So he didn't just do that through direct response. He did that through branding. This is where the big players sit. This is where Coca-Cola is at. This is where, any big company, they're not really focused on just getting a customer over to their landing page, to a sequence, to, hey, buy this 12-pack of Coca-Cola. Like, come on, they're not going to do that. But they aren't focused here because they're focused on just staying relevant. So they're going to be on every platform anyways, more than likely. But this is how they're doing it. Now, if Coca-Cola didn't want to spend money on advertising, why wouldn't they just all day long just post and get the same result? Because, I mean, I'm sure there's probably millions of people who like the Coca-Cola page who probably would see that and be like, oh, I want to see what Coca-Cola is doing. The reason they're doing a branding ad every once in a while is because they realize exactly how Facebook works, how most social medias are moving towards. They realize that if they pay to play, they're going to reach people that like their page. They're going to reach even maybe new people, but I think a lot of people know Coca-Cola. They're going to reach people because if they just do an organic post, they're not going to get that level of reach. Like I said, it could be like 1% of all your page followers. Like they say nowadays, your page likes, your page follows don't really matter. Now, of course, if you have 1 million followers versus 100, if you post something, you're probably going to reach a lot more people with 1 million followers, but you're only going to reach a very limited number of people. So that's why advertising is so huge. But with branding, there's so many different things you can do that aren't just direct response, getting someone to a landing page. Sometimes there's not even a page to go to. Maybe it's just to their actual page or to a video. Sometimes it's literally just to stay on top of their mind. So one of my favorite, and I'm not going to go into all of them because I don't want to give all the secrets away. One of my favorite branding, and this can even be used in direct response, but one of my favorite branding is the video views objective. I got to crouch over here. Video views. So you can post a video. It's a poorly played video. There you go. There's your video. And all you could do is literally 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. I wouldn't go too long. Is literally just be like, guy drinking a Coca-Cola. This is going to be horrible. Here he is smiling. He's got his hands. He's drinking a Coca-Cola there, and then a wave of like a mountain and just ice going across the mountain. He's just taking a sip of Coca-Cola, and they just put the logo at the end. Boom, done. 10 seconds. Something as simple as that. Why would they do that? Well, branding, they want to stay in the customer's mind. They're not necessarily trying to elicit an immediate action. Now, this guy sees this 100 times, maybe not 100 times, but let's say he sees it 10 times just on Facebook, and then he sees, a billboard while he's driving down the road, and then, he hears it on the radio or sees a TV ad of it. This is going to keep relevancy of Coca-Cola. So when he's shopping and, he's at Publix or at, wherever he's getting food, he sees Coca-Cola, unless he's like super anti-soda, which, I don't really drink soda so much, but if he's going to be more likely to be like, oh, I want Coca-Cola. Now, I don't want to go all trippy on you now, but marketing is huge. There's a lot of influences, and this isn't to talk bad about marketing, but marketing influences behavior, whether you even realize it or not. It's like planting a seed as a reminder, like, hey, eggs still exist. Hey, don't forget Coca-Cola, okay? Like Coca-Cola. Hey, Coca-Cola. You're probably going to be thinking about Coca-Cola after this video. But basically, the idea is this. I like video views objective on Facebook because even you don't have to be Coca-Cola. You can get a video view for like a penny. A penny. Of course, sometimes it might be like 10 cents if it's retargeting, for example, if you're doing it a little bit in direct response. But a penny, a couple pennies, you can get someone reminded, hey, I still exist. So when I say the big players are here on the branding, it's because they're not necessarily always worried about just getting an ROI. Like going back to the Grant Cardone example with the $7,500, what he was spending before, and now I'm sure it's a lot more. I can't say exactly how much because I don't know, but I'm sure it's a lot more than 10x $7,500 a month on just Facebook, for example. Why? Because he's not just doing direct response. He's still doing a lot of direct response, but he's doing a lot of branding. He's trying to get his image known, and that's how he's reaching these big players. Like I was saying, the Kevin Hart, Rick Ross, all these big players, he's reaching them because he's doing branding, because he's focused on growing his business. He doesn't necessarily care about the return so much. I mean, I'm sure he cares about, at the end of the day, getting a big return. But the idea is that the branding will get a return, but it's like a passive approach, I like to think. Like an active passive, if that makes sense. That might not make sense, but an active passive. Basically, he's not trying to get you to take action today, but he just wants you to remember that he still exists. Because maybe one day when you decide, I'm struggling, I just want to grow my business. You know what? I remember that Grant Cardone guy. He does the Growth Con. You know what? I might go to that. He didn't necessarily keep beating you with a direct response. Hey, Growth Con, $297, whatever. I'm sure he's still going to do that, but he's trying to keep you remembering him at the end of the day. So going back to like the overall, you want to grow on social media, understand how social media works. It's going to start any new social platform. Get in there as early as you can, of course, if you want to grow organically, if your target market's there, even if they're not almost. If you got into the scale where you just want to go huge, it's almost worthwhile to just show up and just start being there. I'm not saying don't post organically. Post organically. But if you're trying to maximize your time, if you're a small business and you're trying to grow, this direct response is going to help you grow. And I can help you with that part. I can also help you with the branding, but the branding is where you're going to really grow. If you're trying to get known locally, branding's perfect. Like if you're trying to just dominate your backyard, let's say 50 miles around your business, say you're a local business, and you just want people to know, hey, I'm the best dang teeth cleaner in all of, I'll use where I live, Sarasota. Branding is going to get you there. Direct response will help. It'll help pay where you get that money, you get that return, that ROI that I always talk about, but then you could pump that eventually. You pump both. Now I'm going to be drawing lines. I always am drawing lines everywhere, but you start with the direct response. The branding is like that icing on the cake that just keeps you out there. So again, any social media that you want to go into, understand eventually, like anything, advertising is going to take over, and they're going to do anything that they can to kind of make it where advertisers have the capability, but also where you kind of have to pay to play because they're growing at a faster rate. The more people who are using that platform, the more they're like, man, there's millions of people on here. We can make a lot of money. We got millions of exposure. So like any life stage, when we go back to the example of Facebook in the old days, nowadays, advertising is so like taking over. So you can see how the life stage of social media changes. So bottom line, doing advertising on social, on any platform, is important. Sure, there's a lot of people doing it, but they're not doing it just because to do it. They're doing it because it works. This is still underutilized, but it's starting to be used more. If you're really trying to grow big, branding is how you're going to grow your social media. It's how you're going to grow on any platform, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, even TikTok has ads now. I'm not saying you need to advertise on TikTok. I've never advertised on TikTok, but eventually, I'm sure that's going to be a lot bigger to where it's almost necessary to really grow. And so when you're trying to grow your social media, keep that in mind. And I wish you the best of luck. Of course, if you have any questions, email me, dylang.marketing@gmail.com, or go to my page, Digital Dylan, on Facebook @Digital Dylan. Send me a message and we can talk about it. I'd love for anyone who saw this video. I will look at what you're doing on social media. I'll see if you're running ads, and I'll even look at what you're doing on those ads and give you some feedback, some solid feedback that allows you not only to get your direct response sequence down, but also your branding. Thank you, and have a great day.